Justine, welcome to In Session Film. I'm so thrilled to get to talk to you about your hair designs on Sean Baker's Anora. Spoiler alert, it's my current front runner for Best Picture. I really, really love Nora.
I love hearing that.
Yeah. Um, I have so many things that I want to ask you about, and we'll get into as many of them as we can. But I have to start with talking to Sean Baker and sort of building this visual world with him because we know he's spoken so many times about how he basically built this character around Mikey Madison and she was such
Yeah.
an inspiration for him. So what does that look like for you when you're sitting down with a director that clearly has a vision and is then saying trusting you to kind of help him execute it?
I felt like it felt really easy. Um, what in like speaking with him, I would think I remember like our first initial meeting. It was like him and Annie and I. Annie's our makeup artist. Um, I think that he has like a really clear vision when he's speaking about what he wants, but he also knows like his limitations of like what he's talking about. Um, he's not maybe like the best at describing makeup or looks in like when it comes to like the details of them, but he's aware of it, and I think it's really helpful because it allows, I think, a little bit more trust on our end of like he's trusts us as a professional to kind of like help him decide like where we're going to go with like his descriptions of his characters of what he's looking for. um I think that he just gave some he gave very quick, I think, ideas of what he wanted when it came to Mikey. Quick meaning just like I feel like he left kind of a very big space for us to kind of play with. Um, he definitely wanted her to stand out as like a top girl at the club that she worked at, and that he wanted to make sure that nothing that we did to her was like very like overtaking or overstated on her. And then after adding the tinsel on, we definitely were more focused on like what we could do without, letting having her design like hair and makeup design kind of overtake her.
We
Um,
talk about the tinsel. And I know every single interview that you've done has asked about the tinsel. I apologize, but I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so unique and different and fitting, and just the way it catches the light
yeah,
and is so Annie. Like, I don't know how else to Annie, the character. I don't know how
yeah,
else to describe it. Can you talk to me about that? And also, it took 6 hours to apply.
yeah. Well, Mikey has a lot of hair to begin with. It was also I'd never done tinsel before. I've done different types of extensions, and I've been doing hair for like 17 years. But it was something I was like I just like practiced a couple times with, so it did take like there's like a learning curve to go along with it. But yeah, it's a long time to just install because it's kind of a tedious thing to do in general, and then you're just wanting to be mindful of placement and not adding too much or too little. Um, what was the rest of the question? Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, just I don't know how iconic. I mean, it's funny because when I was doing research before talking to you, like there were like tutorials on how to do the
Yeah.
Anora hair tinsel. So I feel like it's become such a huge part of her character, and I know like you guys talked about maybe getting the inspiration for that from Housewives. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was very, yeah, very true. I remember just Sean saying something like when we were talking about her character, just like sparkly. And I know that we had also talked kind of, I think between us and makeup and wardrobe, like Euphoria, and for example, but we wanted just how like kind of fun and loud and bold and abstract their looks are. But Annie and I definitely wanted everyone to still feel reachable in their characters. Like their looks they should be able to do themselves. Um, and so I definitely just feel that, adding the tinsel to her, it was just created such a great, like alluring aspect to her character that worked well for like what her job is in the film. It's something that's like enticing and different, and men love sparkly things. I mean,
Mhm.
as we all do, but I think it just added like such a unique, you know, piece to her, and I think it really helps, add to the character that she is. Um,
You mentioned earlier that Sean Baker kind of gave you guys a lot of room to play. What did that play look like? Like, what ideas were you guys sort of ruminating over? What made it in the film? What are some ideas that didn't make it into the film?
we had so many fun hair and makeup looks for Vegas. It was kind of, I felt like we had this like very free for all moment when it came especially to like Crystal and Dasha's characters. Every day like we were just kind of going, winging it and kind of like just going with what we'd already established them to have. Like for Dasha, we always had something sparkly in her hair, a little bit more polished looking. And then Crystal was always like for me, her two things that she needed was she needed to have pigtails and she didn't have some type of braid. And we both did we did a bunch of hair accessories on both of them. And since Vegas was such more of a montage of scenes that we did, it felt like we could kind of let loose a little bit more and elevate the styles into something that maybe felt a little bit more unreachable,
Mm.
more that like maybe the girls are spending the time in the bathroom together, getting each other ready because they're like having such a good time and they just really want to like, dress up and just kind of be big and loud.
Yeah, let's talk about how no, Annie's look sort of transitions as she kind of comes into this money, right? She becomes a little bit more polished. She's trying to play up the wifey role. How did you sort of change the design as the movie progressed?
I think Annie and I had like Annie and I worked so closely together when it came to everything. We really wanted to make sure that her look in the club stayed in the club. And it only was seen once the first meeting that she has with Yvonne in her blue dress. And then I think for the hair look carries one other time into her schoolgirl look. But we definitely wanted her to have a separation between that world and her other worlds. We felt that like for New Year's, it's New Year's, it's fun, you're excited, you're not necessarily maybe working that night, but there's that potential that that's still what that is. Um, so we felt that it would be she would be more polished to play this like girlfriend experience that she's doing. And so we wanted more of the glittery, like the wavy hair, curled hair. And then as she's like kind of has been there for a moment in time, and now she's more of in her wife experience. There's a little bit more laid backness to it. It's not so curled. It's a little bit more loose. Because she's finally a little bit more comfortable. You see a little bit more that maybe that she's there for love and not necessarily just for the money.
Mhm.
Um, she's more lax and you watch her, I think yeah, it's right before um Garnick and Igor show up. She's like just laying casually um on top of Yvonne in, a t-shirt and undies. And so it's definitely very, more comfortable feeling. So there's no reason to really have her done up. So we just kind of have her look kind of degrade from there as that huge fight scene plays out into the next few days.
Mhm. And
And
you mentioned this briefly, but obviously, there are other girls at the club, and so I was curious about that because as you mentioned, Annie, she's sort of the top girl, and you want her to stand out and have that, but then you also have to have this contrast, and so how did you do that?
um, thankfully, Sean's really great at casting, and I think one of the good like what he does well is he finds people that he really already likes their aesthetic.
Mm.
Um, and so it's just kind of like finding in there like what he's looking for and what he does really like. Lindsay, like we had so much when it came to the club scenes, we had such little time to get everyone ready just because of the timing we were allowed to be in that space and how often we were having sometimes we would have to switch our locations of like getting people ready and sometimes we were in a locker room and then halfway through the day we'd switch and we'd have to be down on the actual floor. So we kind of had to break up who we were even able to work on. So Lindsay did her own hair and makeup, but we sat and went through her looks with her from her Instagram and like her thoughts of like what she wanted and what she thought. And we just kind of came to conclusions of what we wanted for each scene with her. Um, when it came to Luna, I remember seeing her Instagram. She plays Lulu. Uh, Her Instagram is just like really crazy, like bright, uh, just fun looks. And she's always wearing different wigs. And I just thought that that was really cool that that was already something that she established in her real life of like her work. And um, so we just brought her. Really wanted to have her wearing a different wig every day, like for every scene that she was in, just to have something. I just wanted something to play with, but I just thought it would be a great way to like show a different type of person, a different, just something fun and flashy. But I think it took a while to decide that would do that with her, just because I think sometimes it's easy for a character to get lost when you see them in such few scenes and they have such drastic changes between their looks. So we definitely, my way to harmonize that and balance that out was to have her stay in her wig cap while she's in the locker room because she's in a space where she's not putting on a show for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to the rest of the women that were working there, a lot of them just like we just had a lot of them just show up as themselves. Like everyone had such beautiful, like unique styles, and everyone that we had that they a lot of the I think a handful of the girls actually worked at headquarters, but all of our girls were real dancers. I think it was just making sure that we more so made sure that we stuck to color palettes and things like that. And just really allowed them to be themselves. It's so important, I think, in these spaces that we show like authentic people and not, you know, hyper idealize like what we think that they should look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I loved about Annie's character. She felt like somebody that I knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other, and obviously, like I said, she's, the diamond of the film, but are there other characters that maybe would surprise how much thought you put into the hair design? The supporting characters or background characters that,
Um, Crystal, definitely Ivy's character, Crystal. I think that was another one that we had like the most fun. I had the most fun with just because she plays Tom's younger sister, and I wanted to make sure that we kept her in that like very youthful feeling space, but didn't want to like pigeonhole her to being too naive looking. That's very much not her character. And just wanted her like it to be playful, and I feel like that's where we kind of more so reference like those more of like the Y2K comeback.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I think we Ivy and I would sit and collaborate, I think, quite a bit of like what we liked and what we thought would be fun and silly or just cool.
and
Uh,
now that, the film is out and connecting with people, I'm just so curious, like, how you feel about the experience having a little bit of time away from it.
Sorry, say that again.
You're good, you're good. I was wondering now, the film is out, people have seen it, people are connecting to it. How are you feeling? I mean, how are you?
It's exciting. I think it's a lot of emotions.
Mm,
It's just a whole new experience. Like I've been doing, like I said, hair for 17 years and been in film for like 10 or 11. And this is the biggest step forward, I think, in my career. So it's just, I'm so grateful. And sometimes I kind of just like don't know how to feel about it because it's just a lot. But it's really cool to sit back and be like, wow, I got to be part of something that feels amazing. And we created such a nice family working on this. A lot of us still hang out together. Um,
you created something that is going to be iconic.
Yeah,
I hope you know, like I said, that tinsel, it's in the poster, the tinsel and the hair and it's such a huge part of who that character is. Um, as I let you go, do you have any final thoughts, anything that you want to mention that I didn't ask you about?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well, if you think of anything, holler at me. And I get to talk to Annie, your
Yeah,
Annie, after
yeah.
this. So I'm excited to have like a block of Anora for my day. Thank you so much. I really
No,
appreciate this.
thank you. Thank you. It was actually like I think my first interview without Annie. So it feels weird to like,
You feel like you're like missing your partner in crime?
yeah, I'm like, where's my safety blanket?
Oh no. Well, I think you did great. And like I said, if there's anything that you're like, oh, I forgot to mention, please let me know.
Okay.
It's really great to talk to you and good luck. Hopefully I'll get to see you on your next project and Honora will just be sort of the first big stepping stone
Yeah.
and first of many. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.